Shalom to like all praise on the glory of Yahweh Shai Bishop Kakadushin, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, well, peace, citation, the elect. Shemai Mouth and from the Great Millstone, Plaintables Camp of Philadelphia. Come with another wee lesson. You have it here, title, 5-finger discount returns. People can't afford fit anymore, and they're furious. I'm off of the Large Man Abroad page, fair use warnings for educational purposes only. No monetary gain is being made off of this. Of course, check out Large Man Abroad. He does a lot of good videos on these different topics and what's going on with the everyday American. All right, so we're gonna play this here.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Let's get into it.
Just came back from the market. Ready to crash out. And this is $26.
This dude got mayonnaise, not even organic. Some artisan probably brioche buns. Oh, and this is at Aldi. My fault. Hold up. This is at Aldi. Yeah, I believe this is definitely at Aldi. All right, you'll see that great value sign on there, organic. You got the organic spring mix. Got a look like 4 tins of tuna, some type of canned fish. Right, 4 can. You got look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably like 7. You got some dressing for the salad itself. Maybe he's making like a salad with tuna, and you can make a sandwich with the bread and stretch it. And he got some look like crackers. He said this is $22, which really all of this should be like, realistically, man, like you used to get bread for $1, man. Like you could probably, this should be probably like $6-7 if anything. But times have changed. Let's go.
26.
He said 26. I'm thinking 21. He said 26.
Are y'all okay?
And that's at a discount savings store. Okay, Aldi.
26. Are y'all okay with this, or is it just me?
No, increasingly less people are okay with it because no one can afford food anymore. Like, I feel for this man because this is just like the Bachelor special, right? Some tuna fish, some bread, some milk, a little bit of salad. I mean,
because he can't cook.
I mean, this is a man trying to eat healthy. That's what
he allegedly eating healthy.
This is. But being healthy is unaffordable now. At least you got to give him credit, though, because when we watch these videos, usually it's just people buying incredibly processed, frozen food that they
ultra processed. They got a term called ultra processed. All right, we're gonna look into that term, ultra processed food. Right, definition, and we'll get some examples. Ultra processed foods are foods that have undergone extensive industrial processing, resulting in significant changes to their original form and nutritional content. They may contain additives, including preservative, artificial flavors, colors, emulsifiers, substances not found in whole foods, like these hydrogenized fats, synthetic vitamins. Yeah, you got different vitamins that are, not from natural source. All right, they're synthetic. All right, modified starches, man. A lot of people are eating hybridized starches, etc. Okay, ultra processed foods are convenient, ready to eat, are highly palatable. All right, palatable, but they are generally low in nutrients and high in unhealthy fat, sugar, and salt, which basically these would lead to diseases. So you got these dudes out here. He think he eating healthy, he not. Okay. And he's eating stuff that's just going to lead towards disease. Okay? Simple as that. All right? Decay your teeth. Added sugars all up in it. and unnatural substances all over it, and they got preservatives that's going to sit in your body, all right, and lead to a disease, all right. But this is what is on shelves and is marketed as healthy, but are ultra processed. Okay. Now, you can go into some images of it. Ultra processed. All right. You know, is foods that derive from foods or parts of foods being added cosmetic food additives not used in culinary. Okay. You got processed foods. You got processed culinary ingredients. And you got unprocessed or minimum processed foods. You know, but you know, you could look this into yourself. You know, you go to the store, just think about, you go to the store, you know, you get the frozen aisle where they got, you know, the fish fingers or frozen chicken tenders, and you know, they're battered, and you know, you got all types of sorts of stuff that, you know, have super long shelf life that you're like, how when is this ever gonna go wrong? And you know, they tell you an expiration date on there, but you know, you open it up and you smell it and you're like, wait, this can't be right. You got the corn, you know, you got the chips most people eating, all processed. All right, so let's keep going.
Shouldn't be buying.
And remember, it's smart for us as Israelites to look into what we're, you know, doing. All right, so it tells you here that all flesh waxeth old as a garment. Okay, so you have to understand that. All right, all flesh waxeth old as a garment. You know, and you have it where something be fresh at first, but then as time goes on, you know, things become less fresh. Things change in textures and etc. Right? It says, for the covenant from the beginning is, thou shalt die the death. Alright? It says, as of the green leaves on a thick tree, some fall and some grow, so is the generation of flesh and blood. One cometh to an end, and another is born. Alright? Every work rotteth and consumeth away, and the worker thereof shall go withal, man. You know? So every work rotteth and consumeth away, man. So, hey, you know, all these different things, which, hey, a lot of these things are the works of Esau. You know, you'll have it. Hey, if we know that everything rotteth and consume away, just think of that times 10 with the man of death that weaponized even for itself. All right? Money is made in his system, and that rotteth away in a sense, because his money is not really truly money, you know, and you only put your money in a bag with holes, you know, as soon as you get it, it's gone out, you know.
Buying anyway, but you know,
and inflation is eating up everything, you know. That's Revelation. And tell you, Revelation the 6th chapter about the black horse. All right. So, you know, we're going to continue to see, like you said, he got that for $26, but that's just inflation, you know, hitting this place. This place is languishing heavy, you know, because of the amount of money that's in supply. All right, this is Revelation chapter 6 and 5. And he had opened the third seal. I heard a third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. All right, and the black horse does represent this inflation and hyperinflation. And I heard a voice of the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. You know, just imagine just a wee bit for just a day's wages. All right, which the penny represents. All right, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. All right, and we seeing, with time, hey, you're getting less and less. Okay, and it's mainly because of the buying power, the devaluing of the currency, because the amount that's being in circulation, which is done by design. Let's keep going.
As the sole provider for our home, right, the one who makes sure that there's food on the table, I am constantly aware in the increase of cost when it comes to food, when it comes to everything. Because every dollar that we spend, in my mind, is associated with an amount of time that I put in, my labor.
Right, because he's trading his time for labor. Okay? That's what he's doing. So really it's like, you're working against yourself in a sense, because you only have so much time. And they only paying you so much money. Okay? And they're not trying to give these wages for what you really are worth, or for what's really you need in these times. That's why a lot of people do resort to these different welfare programs, where they'll get this exuberant amount of money, with not doing work. But even that is disappearing in these times. Okay? Because where the system has, fed and, folks, and where people have seen, like, why would I work and I could just get this for free? I seen this chick in the store just, a load of a hoagie, as we call it, or a sub in some different places, or just a sandwich, a deli sandwich with processed, ultra processed lunch meat. She loaded it with everything on it, and she looked like she had serious intent with each layer of meat and each slab of mayonnaise and each iceberg not iceberg lettuce and tomato, put on there
to have things paid for. That's why it's like, I don't like wasting money just so I can buy this trinket from Amazon. No, that's not something that I really enjoy doing. And like I said, I'm aware of these costs.
And you have it even with the cost of Amazon rising, and then with people, of course, now, making less money, and the costs continue to go up. Yeah, like some people have, like I even like at this time I paused my membership of Amazon. I've been a member of Amazon for bazillions of years and such, just to basically be able to economize, and make what is me being sustainable work. Okay? Because a lot of this consumerism that they push to people is, it's a lot of things you don't even need. Okay? But you be on Amazon all day. Hey man, my hey, I got my bank card tied with it. Hey, I can buy whatever I want and it be there in the same day or next day or in the next 2 days. But that also has, come at of a premium that many individuals just don't want to continue to pay anymore, because we all are labor mainly for our mouths, and we'd rather, feed ourselves than to, really be, focusing on these pleasures, that E has put upon us. But let's keep going. And this is making people miserable too. And then people don't want to miss out on things they used to, certain status of life. But keep going.
Country's getting like that, and cost.
Well, us as brothers and sisters within the knowledge, we're gonna understand. We have to understand that things are gonna get tighter and tighter, and as you say, use this world, not abuse it. Okay, and that we're as pilgrims, and that this world here is temporal. All right, and we're at the end of it, so things are gonna get bad, all right, and hard to bear, but we will bear it, and we are more than overcomers through Yahushua Mashiach. that has created everything that you see, even your state of life. All right, so let me see, Galatians chapter 3. This is Galatians chapter 3. It says here, and the scripture I was thinking of it might be a different verse. This is Galatians chapter 6 and verse 6 and 4. It says, "But ye let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden." All right. We understand too. We gotta cast our burdens on Yahushua Mashiach. We have the brotherhood. We have the church. All right, here at Great Millstone. But we do gotta, pull our weight. Brothers have to work. And economize. All right. Make smart decisions concerning your household, etc. It says, "Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things." All right. Be not deceived. Yahweh Shem Yashai is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. Right. So what you plant, hey, there's a harvest there. Okay. And if you sow the bad seed, hey, you don't get corruption. And like, we don't want to be sowing to this world. Like, you got, I just seen an individual. Maybe I'll do a lesson on it. He was sowing to this system in the form of getting into real estate, and then at the end of the day, Esau ended up pretty much graping him, Laquak, or meaning to seize, or taken by force, his money due taxes and fees. All because of him not knowing a lot of the different laws and such, within real estate. Esau used a lot of these things as a money grab, and there's a lot of schemes and gimmicks out here. All right. But it says, "For he that soweth," and you have a lot of Jake that want to invest in staying in Babylon, or we got to build a community. The land is being taken by Esau, Edom. It said the earth has been given in the hand of the wicked. The wicked are the Edomites. They have the control of the earth. All right, the bankers own everything. All right, you think that just because you picked out a pot of land and you paying taxes on it, that's your salvation? That's not. All right, this place is going to be destroyed. Okay, America is going to be a place where only doleful teachers are, elves and such. This place is through. So why would I think that there's a future here? "For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting." And that's what we're doing right now, man. We are sowing to the Spirit, fasting, doing different charitable acts to ourselves, to the brothers, to the those within this ministry. We're conducting ourselves in the proper fashion, following law, statutes, commandments. These things lead towards immortality, because for righteousness is immortality, right? This is, I spelled immortal wrong. it says Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and 5, which it reads straight. For righteousness is immortal. Okay? No, there's no death in righteousness. Okay? And you had it where Yahweh Shem Shai, pretty much he created us to be immortal. Alright? Not pretty much, he has created us to be immortal. Alright? Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 23. For Yahweh Shem Shai created man to be immortal and made him to be the image of his own in eternity. Okay? So, we having that law and order in us when we go, of course, after righteousness, right? And of course, as we had it, we've been created, this creature was subject to vanity. Well, and in the end, you have it, what? At the end game of everything, the Lord have it, us are going to be immortal, having total understanding of all things, and us as the Israelite, Hebrew Israelite man, which are made in the image, all right, the law and order, all right, of Yahweh Shem Shai, the Elohim, right? We are going to rule this world in complete righteousness, okay? And that's going to be amazing, because then we won't have to be, as miserable as it is in this life now, currently, where you could put in so much for something and it just get washed away in a second. All right? So it says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. So you got to understand too that when you keep doing as what you do in this ministry, like you be like, damn man, I keep going to camp. It's been years after years. We've been saying that the Lord's gonna come back. I still haven't seen the Lord. You still have to be patient. You still have to suffer. But remember, in due season, which we're in that season, you're going to reap because you already put in what is, of course, the seed, which Yahweh Shai planted you, all right, to be that good seed, and ultimately you're going to get the harvest with the kingdom of heaven, man, So don't faint, okay? Which faint, when you go into it, fainting is, possibly, which means to be faint-hearted or basically enfeebled through exhaustion, to grow weak. You tired out, like I'm tired of this, and then you just go back into the world, like these other individuals do. You go back to your own vomit. You don't want to do that, all right? So let's keep moving. And just with the prophecies, understand the times which you're in. All right? You have to know how to be abound and know how to be abased in these times. All right? Even though the fact that, most people can't afford food anymore and they're furious. Them times where everybody was eating 100 wings. Like, you could get 100 wings for like $30 or something like that. Just think of that. Like, I remember I used to be able to get 30 wings for like $20 or something like that. You might couldn't still get that some places, but these days, like, you might get 12 wings for it'd be like $20, and you're like, wow, this is where my money's going. But yeah, man, it pays to be following Yahweh Shem Shai. So as we see this place fall, we will wax stronger, and we know the end game of everything. We will suffer, but we suffering for the refinement of ourselves in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So shalom to the elect.